This video podcast is brought to you by McCarter Online.
The Yoruba culture has a interesting influence on my work, and it's funny. I think what happens is people have oftentimes spoken about the Yoruba or even the Igbo influence on my work via as if I had gone to Africa and found it myself. And the influence is definitely passed down through. I live in, like I talked about for like an hour before, in Miami, which is rich with people in the Caribbean who study and practice voodoo, Santeria, and a number of other divinations of the same religion, which is basically taking of the West African cosmology of Igbo and Yoruba and mixing it with Catholicism and Christianity. That mixture was created mostly because they were being slaves were being forced Christianity in places like Cuba and Puerto Rico, and even in the Americas, in New Orleans. And so in order to keep that religion alive, they merged it with the Catholicism the catechism that they were being taught. The way in which I came to it is because there were a lot of santeros in Miami who would come to me and be like, you know, you're touched, blessed, the gods are talking to you, and I'd be like, I'm Baptist, unless they're Jesus of Nazareth, I don't really know who you're talking about. But they would keep saying these things to me, and I didn't say no to it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't say, that's impossible. I sort of was just like, okay, whatever that means, you know, thank you for telling me. I remember one time I was wearing blue and white, and somebody was like, you know, you're a child of Yemaya, so when you wear those colors, you're at your most powerful. And I was like, well, I always did feel better in these colors, but I didn't know, you know what I mean? I just thought they were my favorite color, so I just put them on. And so it didn't stop me from wearing blue and white. In fact, it encouraged me to know that my instincts were right. But what it did do is say that there are things that I don't necessarily know about fully, always there, resonating in some way, shape, or form. And so when I went to college, I began to study more about Santeria, Lukumi, Fundu, Vodon, Contemplé, and see how very layered those religions were, not only in the Caribbean, but in my life, and how many people I had met and didn't even know about who had imparted to me those religions and imparted to me those stories. And I was just fascinated by the Yoruba performance, which is that two things. In possession of the Yoruba, they don't feel this thing of where they talk about possession and you disappear. You know how people say, oh, I got possessed and I don't remember what happened, or the devil made me do it. The Yoruba doesn't believe that. When possession, you are more yourself than you've ever been in your entire life. It's when a part of you has been, that you're hiding from the rest of us, starts to come forward. And so you are fully aware of what's going on. And I liken this to being a good actor on stage. Good actors on stage, bad actors on stage, we get on stage and sort of say, oh, I got out there and I just felt it and I didn't know what was going on and I cried and I did it and I beat my chest and there was something and I can't even remember what happened, it was so good. And then the rest of us go, yeah, we can't remember either because we couldn't hear you, you weren't in your light, you were over in this. The good actor says, I went out there and I felt it, but I also knew exactly where the light was. I knew how much I needed to raise my voice so that that person back there could hear me. There was a fly that flew by and I swatted it right as I said this line. I mean, he's fully aware of himself in the moment, but not somewhere else. And that, to me, about performance in the Yoruba was so important and powerful. And I thought, if the theater could be that invigorating at all times, we would have a great theater, now wouldn't we? So and the other thing about Yoruba performance is that there's this quote that Tina and I have been putting around saying that you don't play the role, you play with the role. And that the Yoruba believe that if they were playing a soldier, they would do everything a soldier would do just because it would show you that they could show you all the stereotypes of what a soldier was, but then also be, you know, in the next moment, weeping, sadly, because I'm a soldier. And those things next to each other actually show you more about what being a soldier is, more about what humanity is, because it's not just this stuck form. It's a form that keeps changing, shaping, moving as the night goes on. And I still think that is an important part of the theater that I could bring, because I believed in it and I'd already been doing it so much in my life.
This podcast has been brought to you by McCarter Theater in Princeton, New Jersey. For tickets, call 609-258-ARTS or visit www.mccarter.org.